thank you for having me here. I'm honored to be your first interview. And
I'm
I'm
so excited.
Tate from Taterbuggin. I've had my own business for 9 years now, but it started out by accident. It wasn't this business.
You sound like me.
Yeah, I did not set out to do this. I was actually a medical transcriptionist, and
Okay.
I've always loved arts and crafts and things like that. And I had made this funny little doll just on a whim, and people wanted to buy them. They were the ugliest things that they were literally named ugly dolls.
Oh,
And
I love that.
it was just a sweet time in my life. And I got them in shops and I did the craft fair circuit and all that. And through that, mixed media caught my attention, first of all. And I was just enamored with it. And I did that on my own time, which led me into painting. I would go to painting with a twist, the paint parties.
Yeah. We
And
have those here.
I couldn't believe that, because I swore I had no artistic skills. My father had them, my son has them, but I thought it skipped a generation. So I would go,
Oh, that is a conversation we will get into because that's a
oh,
whole
good.
thing for me. Yeah, that's like literally one of my questions. So yeah, anyways,
Good.
go
Well,
ahead. Go ahead.
good.
Yeah. Because it sounds like we have very similar stories how we
Oh,
it, sort of accidentally ended up
yeah.
being
Wasn't
partners
on
with
purpose.
those.
And that makes it even better to me. I really love that. Uh, but yeah, I would go to painting with a twist and tell them ahead of time, you better have a stencil. I don't know what I'm doing. But what I felt when I would sit down to paint was just complete relaxation. And that's not easy for me. That's not an easy thing for
I
me.
am not a
And
relaxed person either. I get it. Yeah.
I can look really relaxed on the outside, but inside, all of this is going on.
Yeah. All the
And what I
masking we learn. Yep.
and I bet you can, understand this, that when somebody like us finds something that feeds our soul and calms our spirit like that, you just want more of it and you gravitate toward. So whenever I could, while I was running the other business, I would paint. I would just play around and paint.
So the medical transcription you did as a small business as well.
I did, and I
Okay, so you already had some of the business knowledge that you needed in terms of starting a business and getting going, that kind of thing.
being an
Different,
independent
but yeah,
contractor, yeah, being an independent
yeah,
contractor and handling all that, and having a home office and time management. It's
yeah,
important as a medical transcriptionist because they need their work done by a certain time. You can't. You're at
yeah.
home, and there are distractions. So I had that down, and then Ugly Dolls took off enough that I was able to quit my job.
All right, so here's the question. Do you have an ugly doll to show us anymore? Do you have a sample? Because I've got to see how
I
ugly this
have a
doll
large
is.
one. I have the extra
Okay,
large sitting handy. I even have my original that I made
that like started the whole
that
thing.
started it all. And
Okay, I'm dying to see this ugly doll.
you think I'm joking about ugly, but
Oh, that's definitely ugly. I mean, but I totally see why it took off and became a thing.
I did
Because
not.
people love things that are ugly.
I didn't know that at the time. This was, like I said, over 9 years ago now. I can't sew. I hate to sew. I popped seams. I had to hand stitch. And I always said, God has a sense of humor because I had to sew 24/7 after that. But they evolved. This is one made out of an old quilt. It's a large.
Oh, that's cool.
So
Like, I get the ugly part, like why it would still be considered that, but like that's unique and that's cool.
well,
So
and
your art definitely evolved from that like first ugly doll
it
into
did.
ugly but sentimental and quality and
And we
that's,
made
I mean, that's where a lot of us start, right?
right.
Is at the first one and we end up at the, hopefully at the other end.
I agree. And I think with whatever it is we're doing, we all constantly evolve. I certainly don't want to just stay in one place and do one thing. So, yeah. And the slogan was ugly dolls, so ugly, they're cute. And I would do cats and elephants, but they were my hand drawings. I sketched them out. I made them work, and it was a wonderful time. And people would bring me clothing, special articles,
Mhm.
and I would make them out of that, so.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I absolutely love it. So so first of all, what's your business name now? Because it's not Ugly Dolls anymore. I know that one. And then what do you do and offer now? That's because I know I don't think I saw any sewing on your, while I was kind of sleuthing around getting ready.
I'm honest, I was so happy to pack up that sewing machine that I would get back out.
I have a few of those.
Wonderful
Yeah.
season. But now our business is Taterbuggin. And
Yep.
our last name is Tate. I wanted it to incorporate our whole family so that if they wanted to get involved, they could. And at the time, and still to this day, I drive a convertible VW Bug that I put eyelashes on years ago. And so this is a replica of my Taterbug.
Oh, that's fun.
That's my old license plate. It's the same. It looks the same. But anyway, yeah, so we're Taterbugging because
I love it.
We were still in the craft circuit and we were delivering to local restaurants and gift shops. And so we're just Taterbugging.
I love it. I love it. And you packed up the sewing machine. So what are your sort of offers now? Like what can people buy from you or learn from you or all of those good things?
I started out painting on reclaimed wood. That was my specialty, and would do custom orders. I had to pivot in 2020, obviously. And
didn't we all?
And my husband was able to retire and come to work with me. So
that's amazing.
It's been a dream come true. And so we offer a lot of things. He is my woodworker. And so we specialize in reclaimed wood. We have wood kits, unfinished wood kits.
Okay.
Videos showing how I finish them out. I offer art classes, just fun paint classes that are $10 each. You have unlimited access to them. Starting those, but I took a couple of months off of those, and I'm starting those back up in the new year.
Okay. And can they buy like the old ones, or is it
absolutely.
Just like a set time? Oh, okay.
Always
all right. So it's like video. You walk them through it. Gotcha.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I have groups set up for them. So once they buy the class, they get the link to the group, go right in on their own time, pause, take your time. I always tell them to do that. I have a specific group for hand lettering. That's one of my favorite
things. That's really cool.
$10.
I admire all of that. I don't have that kind of skill.
Well, I didn't think I did that either, but I found out it's just a lot of practice. Once you know the main way to do it and you can get in that mindset, it's muscle memory. And that's what I tell everybody, it's $10 and you get a lot of content in there for $10, and it's unlimited and ongoing. If I take a notion that I'm going to do another hand lettering project, I'll do the video and stick it in the group.
That's awesome.
I have one for art journaling, and it's an ongoing one, $10. And it's a place everybody can talk, and I can share prompts, and we can talk about fun mixed media projects and art journaling,
Yeah, that's really awesome. And I love that you have like all these different interests yourself, and while you've monetized them, so to speak, you've also made it really accessible.
That was important.
Because I feel like a lot of these groups and a lot of people, one, they're either so specific, and then if you don't like or do that thing, it's like whatever. But also I'm finding this trend of just being financially inaccessible to people. And so I think it's really, really awesome that you're offering so many offers that are doable for our people. And, people are watching, right now. I feel like people say this like all the time, but and we should be all the time, like being fiscally responsible in our lives, but it can be hard when it comes to crafts. Like it's fun and you want to do it and you want to learn. And a lot of times I'm finding it super out of touch, like out of touch financially, for something I'm not like learning for my business or something, like, something I want to do for fun. I don't
Exactly.
personally want to go drop $100 a month on a group. Like I want
I
to,
can't do it.
yeah, yeah. So I think that's awesome. While I am 100% sure, just given what I've seen in our business group and stuff, that you are worth more than that, I do really respect that you've kept it um, financially accessible, because art shouldn't be about how much money you have. It just
I
shouldn't.
agree. And one thing
So,
I really love to show people is that you don't need a lot to make something beautiful. You know, you can technically make a piece of art out of things that people were going to throw away. And I love to be able to show them that, because I had to do that in the beginning.
yeah. And I feel like I am not, I do crafts that are very expensive to get into. I do try and show other options that are not, or I try and say, hey, here's like a gateway thing to get into this before you go drop a bunch of money. And I am not one to push buying equipment to buy equipment. Um, like obviously my equipment is like top of the line, but I also do not only, I mean, I don't just teach. So I do, corporations, like promo stuff and materials, and I do like some high end stuff. But
Mixture
one of the
income.
major things I've made a point of, I will not push buying to buy.
No, I'm the same way. And I will also, I love to, if I'm able to, try something new first for them and let them know how I really feel about it. So they
Yep.
can spend their money on that if it turns out to be a bust.
Yeah. It is. One of the funny things is I get comments all the time on my videos and my lives. Well, if you don't know what you're doing, why are you on here doing it? And I'm like, I'm learning. I'm trying something new. And I don't, one of the things that I think we have in common in looking at your business and stuff is I don't want people to see me as solely the expert on something. I want them to see the flaws. I want them to see me testing things. I want them to see me learning and trying new things and like stretching myself, because I feel like that makes it less scary for someone else to go do that.
Absolutely.
Even if it's not the same thing. Like, oh, well, on a live video, she did something she claims she can never do or doesn't know what she's doing. Well, and now in the privacy of my home, I'm willing to try. And that's been like a big thing for me. And I feel like maybe that's kind of a same feeling or sort of behind the scenes point of part of what you're offering.
That sums up what I had to do in my pivot in 2020. Because I wasn't a painter, I was an artist. That's all I did. I did portraits, and it was so hard. There's only so much you can produce as a one human being.
Yep.
We're all closed up and locked down, and I was offered an opportunity to be in a group where they go live and they create things. And I just had to start out telling everybody on the front end, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it. And if I mess up, it's okay. I'm not going to be embarrassed by
Yeah.
it. And I'm going to show you how we can fix. There are very few things in the creative world that aren't fixable.
Yeah. And I think you say that and I just laugh because I literally do a craft that's not fixable. There's
Yeah.
no way to fix it. You get one try and you're done. And that for me, after a hiatus in my business, like I've been performing since I was little. So lives and stuff that was never fearful for me, except for like setup and stuff like that. And technology hates me, but I had some instances happen and lives became a trigger for me. And I was just watching her and I was like, you know what, this is stupid. I can just do it, and I can do it while I'm scared, and I can not be perfect. And I think there's this era of now going to, people don't want to see perfect anymore.
That was the point I was about to make. I think it makes you more real. I know I don't want to necessarily always watch people who know what they're doing. It's fun to see the mistakes that can happen and see that they can laugh at themselves. And they're not perfect, and I'm not perfect. And it's reassuring, I think.
Yeah. And I think the influencers who are sort of getting called out now for being so fake and for creating these fake concepts. I think we're headed toward an era of the do it scared, the don't be perfect, the show the real. But yeah, so I agree. I don't think the people who, now I will say on the other end of that, I also don't enjoy people who are always messing up because I feel like it's an act.
Right, right. Absolutely. It has to be real. It has to be organic. I don't know.
And sometimes you need to be the expert.
Yeah. And sometimes you need to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
One thing that I've always felt is you may not be perfect, or you may be real, but I treat going live as if I invite you into my home. What am I going to look like when you come home? Will I be, pulled together a little bit? Will I have things look put together a little bit? Absolutely. So I kind of treat it that way. But what happens once the camera turns on, who knows? And you're live.
And if the camera turns on, I mean, let's be real. That was me the other day. I had everything perfectly set up. I was ready to go live, and Facebook and my recording program both just like crashed. And I had to grab my phone really quick because, it was one of those groups where, this is my time slot and I like to be on time, and I don't like to be the person who's late. And yeah. And we all have those things, and it's how you handle it. It's how you portray it. It's how you, and that you show up, assuming you can. Obviously, sometimes we all have things go wrong, can't follow through. But yeah, I think that's super important. All right. Go ahead.
You mentioned do it scared, and that's so it's so funny because you get used to what's comfortable. And so I had the opportunity here not too long ago. I was invited to do a mixed media mystery box challenge. Well, mixed media, I love, I'm comfortable. So I thought, let's do that. But you can't open the package. You can't peek,
until you're live.
Literally open that package live. It had been sitting there staring at me for like 2 weeks. What is in that thing? And I was just cool about it till about an hour before.
Yeah.
I thought, do it scared. You're just scared. You don't know how it's gonna. Well, and then right after I was invited to do that one, I won this Saturday, and it's a much larger group, and lots of really talented people in it. Not that there weren't this. It's a bigger thing. Yeah.
It's not. I get it. Yeah. Not to diminish the other one, but yeah, we get invited to bigger things with bigger people than us and bigger businesses. And and it is more intimidating.
Yeah. I loved knowing it will be mixed media. The people in it are mixed media artists and know what they're sending. They know what to send. This is just open, and I've got to do that this Saturday.
That's exciting.
Death over that one. So
scary, but exciting. I love that idea of like the mystery project. Like, I'm not a mixed media person, although I do mix a couple of things. I don't do like the true, what I would consider like true mixed media, me mixing my laser with sublimation. Yes, it's technically mixing media, but they also go hand in hand. So, you've got me thinking now. Now I've got to find a way to like come up with some people in my world that might want to do that.
It's a lot.
I think it's just a really cool idea.
It's like an exercise in a muscle to me, because you are forced to be live, open a box, and look at all the items and come up with something within the hour and finish it.
Right. Like, because you don't get the like time to process and to like, so it's really putting your immediate creativity to use, which is just a really, really cool concept, because now I will admit it won't work for everybody, but in the mixed media world, I think like especially you can start overthinking. And I've seen that, I like to watch other people and what they're doing, and especially things I don't do well. And so, or things I have like no intention of doing. I love watching other people do it because I'm like, oh, I could do that. And now I can check it off in my head as something I'm not going to go do.
I do that too. That's so
but yeah, now you got me thinking. I got to think about that. All right. So you kind of told us a little bit about how your business came to be, what you have to offer, but now I'm curious, what is a major hurdle that you've had in your business, and how did you either deal, cope, overcome? Because sometimes we just have to deal with it, right? Like we can't overcome it, or we have to cope with it going awry or whatever. And so one of the things like I really want to get to know with people is like, what is something major that's happened, and like an obstacle, hurdle, whatever that, and how did you deal with it within business? I mean, it can be a life story too. I'm kind of thinking more like within business.
I can't pinpoint one specific thing, but there are so many hurdles. It's a constant fluctuation with social media and different platforms, and it's constantly changing. And as a business owner in this world, we have to bob and weave, and what's the latest thing, and how do we translate what we do into that platform to be relevant, to keep ourselves out there, you've got to constantly try to get new eyes in front of you. And what on this platform does not work on this platform. And so it's just keeping yourself educated on all those different things. And, this time last year I was in a totally different place than I am this year. In some ways it's better, in some ways it's not as good. It's been a hard year, I think, for everybody. So there are constant hurdles. There are hurdles of, one of my personal things is I'm an empath. I'm very sensitive.
Me too.
The energy around me, whether I want to or not, it just is how I'm wired. And you're putting yourself out there, and you've got to cope with the bad comments, the mean people, how are you going to deal with that? How do you, not take that to heart? And it's all been a learning process for me. Even people that you can feel really close to, you can be so disappointed sometimes by that. And you've got to just keep going, just keep putting yourself out there.
So what is like one or two sort of coping mechanisms, I want to say, because like you pointed out, there are hurdles like constantly. So what is one or two ways that you either keep yourself on track or up to date, or the other side of that being like, how do you cope with those multiple challenges and hurdles, just in like a mental health space, or business space, whatever you want to share?
Journaling has really helped. To get really introspective and write it out tends to help me. I'm very blessed to have a very tight support group, and my husband, my son, I've got one that lives in Colorado, so I don't get to see him as much, but I have a son still here, and a best friend since I was 13, who was wired exactly like me. And we can talk things out, and she can give me perspective when I'm mired down in it. She can step back and look at it clearer. And also I've been brought some people online that have become extremely close friends. I have an admin who I trust with my business, and I don't think I'd ever trust it. It's like my baby.
It's so hard. Yeah.
It
It is
is
so
very.
hard to trust other people in your business, even with the tiniest things.
I didn't know how much of a control freak I could be, but when it
Yeah.
comes to my business, I call it my third child, and I treat it that way. And I'll fight a bear for it,
Yeah.
so than I will myself. And so I think that's how I cope, and I cope with art. That's gotten me through a lot of tough times. Um, so
Yeah. I find it's something you can just turn to, and it's not judgmental, and it's not, we might judge it, but it does not judge us. And it gives us this outlet of just, like you said, sort of focus and peace and, and a space to, maybe if it's not going well, it scribbles and, whatever. And, just to get the anger out, maybe sometimes it's, creating something really beautiful because you're sad or even happy. I think really going into, when you're talking about artists, going in to do the art is a form of therapy. Like we all joke like crafting is my therapy, but I think, art therapy has been used in, in the
yes.
psychology world for many, many years. But I think as highly sensitive people, empaths, artists, it's even more important to, even if you don't feel like it, go in, like I said, scribble a page. It might not be pretty. It might be something you throw away. It might be, like I personally find a lot of peace in really detailed work when I am stressed out or upset, because it makes me I have ADHD, so I hyper focus, but it turns my brain to that, and it gives it me just a moment of reprieve, whether that's a minute or hours, depending on what I'm doing, what I have time for. But yeah, it's really that outlet that gives, can fuel us for the future, but also just give us that peace and calm.
Well, that was part of my reason for doing art journaling, because I could tell myself nobody's going to see this but me. I'll be free, and I can go back and look at it now, and I remember a page where I was sick and I felt awful, and there was a page where I was just really, really upset. It came out in that page, but it's there. It's part of what I was feeling through that time, and it's important. I think that finding out that art journaling is just so freeing. So through my art journaling journey, I came across neurographic art.
Okay.
And I got so excited about this, I started researching it and watching videos and listening about it. I watched therapists use it and talk about how it works. And I got so excited about it, I thought I need to bring this to my followers live. And I kept thinking, they're going to think you've lost your mind, Lindy. I tried to overthink it, like, oh my goodness, this is so off the wall. But I feel that there are people out there that need to hear about this that may not know about it. I think it started in 2014 with a Russian therapist.
Okay.
So I brought it to my followers, and it was incredibly well received. And so many people started using it and taking it to other people, that I have a really close bestie who is from the Philippines, but she's here now, and she got into it so much that she told her mother about it, who is a preschool teacher in the Philippines, and she uses it on the children. And
that's cool. So it's not like just like an adult thing.
No.
And do you do that in your art journaling group?
I did, but this okay. I just put out to every. Really starts out with you're having an issue with some anxiety over a problem, or you've got a problem to solve. It's basically, it gives you the parameters to sit down and take a pencil and start moving the pencil around while you think about.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have not heard it called that, but I have heard about this and I have been wanting to try it. So I'm going to watch your video and I'm going to give it a try because, yeah, I have heard this concept. I think someone called it like scribble journaling or something like that. Because, yeah, my brain works too fast. Like I can't write fast enough or type fast enough, and I can type pretty darn fast. So like make journaling work for me. It tends to
I have a problem with that too. Yeah.
Yeah, it just doesn't, and journaling in general just hasn't been an effective tool for me. But that kind, like I saw someone just reference it and I was like, I need to learn more about that. And then of course I had 50 other things to do and totally forgot.
The action I got through a lot of that video was, oh, I did this as a kid. And I said, yes. There was no name for it. If you finished your work and you had to stay quiet, we'd scribble and then we'd color in each area.
Okay.
And what I found, and I said, yes, exactly. We were doing it. We didn't know what we were doing. But now, if you take it to the level of neurographic art, it's more mindful. You know what you're doing and you have parameters. You're softening edges. I find that so relaxing. There's a way to soften the edges. The colors that you pick, you write on the back of the sheet what your problem is you're dealing with. What is this about?
Okay.
Nobody ever has to see that. But if you ever want to look back, you can say, oh, yeah, I was going through this. You will see a difference when you're doing it calm and when you're not as upset. And then when you have a really big problem, your colors will change. It's going to take on a whole different look. And that fascinates me.
Yeah.
So I just had to try it and I had to bring it to other people. And fortunately, they really accepted it and loved it and didn't, one woman said, Lindy, at first I thought you have lost your mind. What you doing now, Yeah. But that's how I roll. If something comes along and it strikes my fancy and it sparks my interest, if I'm going to look into it, and if it's worthy, I'm going to bring it to them, whether it fits what my mold is or not.
Yeah, I totally agree. I do that to a lesser extent, but I love the concept of you're not going to hold something back just because it's not in your brand or in your niche, and it is in your niche because you do the journaling stuff and stuff like that. But I love that you're just willing to be open and share and and help people, because as artists, but more as teachers, like we need to be open, we need to be sharing, and we need to not have it just be on what we're an expert on.
And chances are, if it clicked with me that much, there's going to be at least a handful of people that feel the same way,
Yeah.
So, and
who need that information. Yeah. I'm a big fan of, if I get asked a question, you're not the only person who needs that answer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, because we all come across things, whether in life or business or whatever, crafting, where we need answers, and a lot of times it's the same question from the same, from different people. So, okay. So what is your favorite craft to do? Like, do you have a specific, like, not just mixed media, but like, do you have like a specific, like, painting is your favorite part of it, or like decoupage or whatever? Or is it like assembling the whole thing, but what's like your favorite, like if you could only do like one craft ever again, one that would be awful, but
I know.
So it's a concept, right? Like I'm like saying that and I'm like, that's an awful thought. How boring would that be? But which concept, like what is your, like, you'll never give it up craft?
Painting. I'm never going to give that up. But I also don't think I'll ever give up mixed media. Those are the main two. I get really excited about turning something that somebody was going to either throw away or they gave to Goodwill into a piece of art and totally rethink it. But if I have to say what I will always do, it's probably because I think those two kind of go hand in hand. I do a lot of my painting In mixed
in
media.
the mixed media piece. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of painting is the underlying. That's kind of what I was going for. What's the underlying, like,
Yep. That's gonna be it. Mm-hmm.
for lack of a better word, glue to hold it together. And
Mm-hmm.
then what is your least favorite craft? One, what's your least favorite craft and you just don't ever want to do it again that you've tried? And then what's your least favorite of the things you need to do? Like of the, like,
Well, that's good.
within a project, we have various steps and various stages. And with you, with mixed media, you have a lot of those. So what is your least favorite craft that you just hope to never actually do again? And then what's your least favorite craft, but you have to do it in order to do what you do?
Sad to say this, but probably sewing is my least
Fair.
favorite.
Yeah.
I've put away the sewing machine. Are there times I miss it where I could just get it out, and I would love to just get the machine out and like have a mixed media piece and sew one side of it and let the strings hang. My brain's different. It's not, I
Yeah.
don't want to do that sewing anymore.
Yeah.
And as far as the things I have to do, but it aren't my favorite part, um, that's just real good. Wow. I don't do well with well, that's not true.
Well, not doing well and not liking it can be two different things.
Right, right. And that's what I mean. I don't like it, but it's okay. For instance, there are a lot of, and I love them. I want to love doing it, but there are a lot of laser cuttings,
Mm-hmm.
cute little tiered tray things that I just look at and they make me happy and
Mm-hmm.
I love them. But what I've found is that if I try to do one, I get mired down in just painting each little piece. Um, I don't mind detail work. I love detail work. I did portraits for goodness sake, but something about that, I don't
But
know.
something about just doing it in that fashion just doesn't
Yeah.
click for you.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Hey, that's okay. And I find it interesting that your favorite things to do and your least favorite are technically the same craft, just in very different ways.
I am so
And I
complicated.
totally agree that people don't realize that just because you paint doesn't mean you like all painting. And just
That's
because
right.
you do mixed media doesn't mean you like all medias. Like, so I think that's actually really cool. Okay, my next, I'm looking down at my questions here. So you teach, you have like all these groups and it's really awesome. What do you consider, like when you're teaching, what is your goal, or what do you consider a success for that effort, like for your customers and for the people doing it with you? How do you define success with that?
Showing somebody who thinks they can't do something that they really can. If I can break it down into ways that made me understand it better, that if I think of it this way, it's not as daunting and oh wow, I can do that. That's what helped me in the beginning. So that's what I always want to convey. And so when they can come to me later and say, that really was easy. I did this. Job done. I'm happy. I want them to see that you can do this.
Yeah. And in your own way and with your own flair and whatever, but you can get through the process. Because I feel like a lot of people, especially people who don't consider themselves crafters or artists, get very intimidated. That they have to create the same thing, that they have to replicate perfectly, or that somehow they will be, or you would be disappointed, like whoever's teaching them would be disappointed if it's not great. And so I think it's awesome that your goal is them feeling confidence in what they're doing, and it has nothing to do necessarily with the outcome. Like it's about instilling confidence.
Absolutely.
And instilling that sense of self over it being about you created the perfect mixed media project that you can now go sell.
Absolutely. And if yours looks different than mine, that's good. That's
Exactly.
you did it. You don't want it to look just like if you put five creators in a row and gave them five identical items, you're going to get five different creations. And
Yep.
that's what's cool to me.
And that kind of goes back to your like surprise boxes, and that's what it is,
Exactly.
right? Like it's
Yeah.
totally you and the same person. Like, so side note, one really cool idea is if the person who sent it to you had the same box and you did it like alongside each other and like come up with like, you would come up with two totally different plans because you have different influences, different styles, different everything. And I think that's cool. And I think focusing on someone's confidence in creating versus the project or the outcome is more beneficial and more value add than if they create a project in the end.
Oh, I totally agree. And I've even collaborated with other creators where we get together and we do have the same things and they look polar opposite at the end. And we can show that on that live. You do your own thing,
Yeah.
You're,
and I think it's a big thing where people get really caught up in, oh, well, this person already does this type of craft and sells it, so I can't. Or I did get caught up for a while in, well, my digital files aren't as cool as this style or whatever, or I can never compete in that world. And maybe, I mean, I'm still small potatoes in that world, but my style is my own. And so I create my own cool things. And maybe it resonates with people, maybe it doesn't, but there's thousands of designers. They all, I mean, except for the people like blatantly copying styles who I would not necessarily call artists, right. They're all creating different things. We all have the literal same tools that, roughly the same programs, the same, we're seeing the same things on social media, and we all create vastly different things. Which I think is just cool within the art world too, because how boring would it be?
Oh yeah,
we could create I mean, there's a point to mimic to learn, right? But then there's that confidence or that little spark that's, oh, but I might like it this way different. And I love that that's what you're going for with that.
One of my favorite things to do, and I've been showing it on my lives, is if I can scroll through Pinterest, just look at pictures. And if something just really, sparks me, I'll save that picture and they look totally different in the end.
Yeah.
I will do my.
But that's what got you started. That was the inspiration and
this was my
kickoff point.
I'm a very visual person. And so if something sparks joy, that when I look at it, or if I'm in Hobby Lobby or Target or somewhere and I look at something, I'll think I could do that with my own style. It won't look anything like this, but I like that concept.
Right.
At the end of the live, they've seen mine, and then I'll hold the picture up and say, now this was my inspiration. I went off on a total different, keep going.
My tangent went here, but this is where we started. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, and I think that's what goes from just being like, an idea in a store to being something totally different. I think that's where becoming an artist really stands. Like, it's not about what type of art you do or even necessarily how well you do it. It's the creativity that goes and the choices that go into it.
I agree completely. Yeah.
All right. So what is a goal or even a dream you have for the future of your business? And it doesn't have to be like super specific, just something you're either working towards or, the big dream of what you're going for in the future.
Gosh, and that's really, really good. I got a lot of dreams. I've a lot of dreams, but I just want to grow. I want to keep learning. I want to branch out more into YouTube. And I'm working on that. That's immediate.
Yep,
That's
me too. Yep.
something that's really, in the works. Things like Pinterest and TikTok's really important right now. Who would have known? But it is.
Yep.
And there's a lot to be said for, I love TikTok. I just can't let myself watch it much or I'll go down that rabbit hole. But just to keep
doom scrolling.
Yes. Just to keep growing, to get to, yeah.
Learn, share more. Yeah.
Learn, share
growth
more.
all around. I love that.
And I think
right, we digress. But okay, what is your favorite piece of crafting equipment or like item? Like what's something you couldn't live without?
probably could not live without my glue gun. But truly, the paintbrushes.
Yeah.
My paintbrushes. Yeah, I couldn't do without my paintbrushes.
Yeah. I don't think there's a good, like, well, you could find good substitutes for like hot glue and whatever.
True.
I don't feel like there's a good substitute for paintbrushes.
Right.
Like,
right.
It's not like you can just go finger paint what you do.
No.
All right.
Right. It's everything's in that brush.
What is a craft skill or type of craft that you want to learn? Like what's on your wish list, like your dream list of, if I had all the time in the world, I would go learn this.
I'll tell you, it's pottery. I want to learn to take a blob of clay and I want to get it on that wheel and I want to make it into something, a mug or something. I've always, really, that's on my list. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Because, yeah.
And there's so many things. I mean, there's so many options out there, but I think especially as creative business owners, too often we put aside the things we want to do for fun in the crafting or creative or artist world because it's not a part of our business, because that's a priority. So I'm going to challenge you to go do that this year.
Okay. That's great.
Maybe, just take a class, find someone who'll give a private lesson for a day and a couple hours and go make your mug and show it off to us when you're done.
I'll do that. Do that.
All right. Well, because, we put off things that we know would bring us happiness and whatever. And I find when I conquer those things or when like someone else pushes me, I bring that creative energy and that happiness back to my business.
Good. Yeah.
And so when I start thinking of it that way, no, it's not a business adventure. One, you can make content though, but it's not about your business. It's about feeding that creative soul in a different way. And yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to challenge you to do that.
Okay. Well, that's great. Now I've got to do it.
Okay. What is the best crafting or like creative advice that you can give?
To silence that little voice in your head saying you can't do this or you're not good enough.
Yep. I love it. I love that theme of instilling confidence. Okay. What is like maybe the best business advice you have for someone in a small business or small creative business?
Oh, that's a good one. To be consistent.
Yep.
Just if I boil it all down, I think just be consistent.
Yep. Agreed. That's a really good one. And then is there like, I do not fit the stereotypical like crafter or artist. Is there a stereotype within the creative or artistic world that you feel you don't fit in? Do you need an example?
Yeah, give me an example.
Okay, I'm hyper organized. I not literally at the moment because I'm going through some stuff, but like I am not a messy crafter. I don't do things messy. I don't function well in a space that is messy. I like things to be organized. I like things to know where they are. And I don't even understand how people function in mess. I don't think they do as well as they think they do. Maybe that's sort of the professional organizer in me coming out, but I don't fit the messy crafter world at all. There isn't one little ounce of me. Like, I'll make a mess when I'm doing a whole bunch of projects, especially like right now, but I have to clean it up. It can't, I see these pictures of big messy craft firms and they literally like, yeah, I just can't do it. But so I don't fit that stereotypical or like the, messy crafter that everybody talks about. And, you can only be a crafter if you're messy and whatever. So is there one stereotype you feel like, whether it be you don't feel like you fit the typical artist, you don't fit in like the stereotypes, like being messy, whatever?
I don't even know if this really is a good answer, but I know there's what I've always felt is I don't have a style. Most artists have a style. I hope. I don't think I have a style because I want to try everything. Somebody might disagree if they look at my whole body of painting work. I might, but even there, I never thought I would look at other artists' work, and there is a definite style.
Mm-hmm.
Have that style. So I thought that, I always felt like that. Maybe I don't fit into the typical artist, stereotypical.
Yeah.
When you think about one.
Yep. And I'm much the same with that. And I think maybe that's more the crafter in us than like we lean more to crafting versus artistry. And I feel like artistry is used, like the word artist or artistry is used, it's like gate kept almost, and you have to have this style, or you have to only do this or only do that. And that's, at least for me, a big thing I've had to like overcome. Like I do mostly digital art and then I print it and put it on things, but getting over that, like, yeah, that's still art. It's still art. You're still creating something really cool, whether I did it with a paintbrush, a pen, a mouse.
Absolutely.
Like, but I feel like, yeah, like that's been a kind of gate kept word. Do you have a person or another business who inspires you currently?
Oh, God. Oh, that's a hard one because oh, wow.
Sorry, I didn't mean to make it a hard one.
No, I know, but there are so many. I have so many. But the first one that comes to mind is Karen Campbell. She is a mixed artist, and she's outside the box. I have my people that are close to me, and we're similar in a lot of ways. And then Karen came out of nowhere, and to me, and it's like opened my mind to, oh, you can take an album cover and make art on it, flip it open, a double album cover, and she just is so free with it. They can look, she has a style. You can look at everything and tell it's her style, but she does all kinds of things. So yeah, I think I really do look up to her. I don't subscribe. I don't have time to subscribe to people.
Yeah.
Her mixed media club, I have been in it for probably over 2 years. Do I get many opportunities to participate? No, but I want that available to me because there are some great, I can take what she teaches and the methods she uses, and I can move it into all different kinds of things. So yeah, I guess.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think we all need those people, and putting our very limited time, money, resources to the people who push our boundaries and who can inspire us or make us think in different ways. That's what we should be doing.
Yeah.
Right. What is the quirkiest thing about you?
My silliness, probably, because I'm not, I'm 58 years old, and my dad had a great sense of humor. My youngest son is hilarious. And I'm not saying I'm hilarious, but I just love to be silly, and I'm okay with it. And I love to laugh at myself, and I'm okay with that.
I think that's awesome. And
Yeah.
I think that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's easy until you turn the camera on in your life. And you don't know who's
valid. When you open yourself up to the world, it is much harder to have confidence in that your silliness or your whatever you're trying to, your authentic self almost clams up a little bit.
Right. Because you don't want it to come across as immaturity, because it's not. It's just, I can laugh at myself, or I can do something that I find just ridiculously funny.
But I bet that's what your people love about you. I guarantee it, actually. And that's and having that confidence to know that and to show that is I mean, it's inspiring to all of us. So that's awesome. What is something you are currently most grateful for?
My immediate support system, because
so important.
Going through a little something right now that's very difficult for the second time in 1 year, and I don't know where I'd be without them, to be able to just understand me, because apparently I'm difficult to understand sometimes. But and to just know that no matter what, they hear my feelings. They might tell me if I'm wrong, and they can do it in a way that I'm going to be very introspective and fix that. So yeah, that's
awesome. And that's awesome that you've cultivated that and have those people surrounding you, in the good times, but also, like you said, when you're going through something, it's just super, super important to have those people that'll tell you like it is, but not be harmful to you about it, and who will get you to rethink or think through something. So
absolutely.
Is there anything else you want people to know about you, about your business, about what is coming for Taterbuggin in the next year?
Yes. The next big thing is going to be this collaboration that I'm doing with 6 other mixed media artists. I take that back. There are 6 of us, me included. It's called Curiosities. It's a mixed media class bundle. So we will each take a week in that 6 weeks and have our project filmed and ready for whoever joins,
right?
So that they can watch that, learn from it, and don't know what each other is doing. We have our own style. They'll be completely different, and you'll have a year to access those 6 weeks of this content, and it's only $39. So it starts.
Oh, I like it. That's very doable.
Very doable. That's, you get a lot of content for that amount. And I was honored when you look at the lineup. I was honored to be even be asked to do this. And this is my way of pushing myself more into pre-recorded YouTube videos, edited. And so that's my next big thing.
All right. And when does that launch?
It launches January. Well, it's already launched. You can you can buy.
Oh, you can pre-start. But when does the content launch?
January 1st. It's
okay. So they can already buy. And then
I should say there will be a Facebook group for them so that we can answer their questions.
That was going to be my next. How do they get the content? Do they have to join the Facebook group to get the content, or is there going to be like links and stuff? So if they're not social media people, they can still
They
watch.
can go to Kajabi. It will be.
Oh, okay. It'll be listed as like a course. Okay, cool. And well, thank you so much for joining me and sharing all of your just amazing thoughts and offerings and insight with us. I, for one, already have a list of things to look into, and so I'm excited to do that. And just in talking, like I've come up with like different ideas that I'm going to put in my little like think about it later journal that I keep for my business because you've inspired me to look at things in a little bit different way, which is I think an awesome part of the creative world and all of us being interconnected. So I can't thank you enough for being here and sharing with us. And
well, thank you.
And we will link everything down in the description for your offers, your business, all that good stuff. So they can find you and follow along.
Thank you so much. And I just appreciate you doing this and lifting up other creatives and getting to know more about them. I'm excited about this whole journey you're taking.
Thank you. I am excited about it too, and excited to learn everybody's story, which I think is what really connects us in the end.
I agree. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much. And stay crafty, everybody.
Yes.